Okay.
So welcome everybody to the first Wise Wisdom Council. This is our Wisdom Council where we get to talk about things and share our wisdom and learn and teach. So if you will each mute yourself, we're getting some kind of underwater sounds. I don't think it's me.
I don't think it's me. Do you want you and I to stay conversational?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we're going to talk about things and then we're going to invite everybody else to participate. But first, I want to start with a moment of invoking all of our ascended beings that help us all the time. So if you will please take a deep breath, close your eyes.
Shada, I'm hearing to do a channel and medicine song for initiation into what you just spoke.
Okay.
Can you speak one more moment the intent for the circle?
The intent of this circle is to listen to what is coming forth inside us and to break it into practical realities to implement in our lives.
Great. So let's just all take a moment of silence and lean our hearts into that invocation that Shada, Barbara just made. And let's invoke that energy with sound. When you're ready, take a deep breath in. Put your attention in your heart and we'll ohm together on the count of 3, ohming your own truth to her invitation. 1, 2, 3. And now just breathe deeply from heart down to base of spine, back up to heart, and let the circular flow of breath move as you hear the words and sounds that will come forth shortly for a very short period of time. This is our sound invocation, invoking the light of the prayer, the intention. So you're breathing circular light, adding your empowerment, your heart, and your presence to the wisdom of this collective. And that blesses us in this circle and ripples out to all women and all places where the sisterhood can bring healing. And we intend that as the sisterhood in tonight's circle. We're bringing it home, the language of light. We're bringing us home together, bringing us home, bringing us home, bringing us home. Together, let's sing that together for a few lines. Bringing us home, bringing us
home,
bringing us home. We're together. And just digest that in the silence, and then we await Shada's direction. So it is.
I invoke the archangels Ariel, Uriel, Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, Zadkiel to come be here present with us. Thank you for all the ways that you and our ancestors and our personal guardian angels and our animal allies support our work, support the emergence of our soul into ever greater expression of who we came to be and how we came to be of service at this time on the planet. We ask for you to clear the channels of communication so that we can hear the truth and speak the truth and be vessels of love to everyone in this Wisdom Council, to everyone in the Good Vibe Challenge, to everyone in our individual circles, our collective communities, and throughout the world. Aho, and so it is.
Oh, so it is.
How is everybody today?
Fabulous.
We want to talk about some of the things that can come up when we're doing pioneering work. Did you have it, Sylvie? Did you want to ask a question or say something, honey?
I just wanted to make sure you could hear me because I think I was muted, but now am I unmuted?
You are unmuted. I can hear you beautifully. Thank you. And Teresa, would you say something so we can hear you? Nope, you're muted, honey. Got to unmute. Somewhere on the screen. There you go. I could hear sound.
Is it working now?
It is working now. Arlia, I know you're driving. Do you want to try to talk? We'll give her an opportunity to do that later. It's more important for her to be safe as she's traveling. So we do have some questions to talk about. One is one that actually came through Arlia on our Facebook page, and it's a quote from Eckhart Tolle. It has been said, God is love, but that is not absolutely correct. God is the one life in and beyond countless forms of life. Love implies duality, lover and beloved, subject and object. So love is the recognition of oneness in the world of duality. This is the birth of God into the world of form. Love makes the world less worldly, less dense, more transparent to the divine dimension, the light of consciousness itself. And Arlia asked, what are our thoughts on this?
Beautiful. I'm glad we're recording.
Agree with all the above.
Beautiful. Go deep, sister. Go deep.
We don't have time for shallowness. Unless we're having fun, and we're already deep when we're having fun. So what we're addressing here is the issue of polarity and how oneness, love in the form of oneness is an evolution into a whole different paradigm. So how does that feel in your body? I mean, it's okay if you kind of go, yikes, ah! I don't know. Right? It resonates for me. It resonates for me because there is, in love, in genuine unconditional love, there is no competition, there's no comparison, there is an other in unconditional love as we experience it in third dimension. But what if that is just to tease us into the higher dimensions where there is no polarity?
So I guess I'm here differently than I thought I was going to be. So I keep getting guidance. I just want to keep checking in with you because I keep being told to do things. So now, after you spoke, I was told now channel a short piece on that.
Okay, do it.
My personal take on it, which you and I can dialogue about and share with the women too, briefly.
Right.
But I heard now channel on that. So with your
go for it.
Okay, great. Okay, so we're channeling about polarity and how love and God fit. for the sake of this circle's understanding and resonance of wisdom, it would be said that the one love that is knowing itself as God is the multiverse expressed through each and every one, animal, mineral, human, light beings, ascended masters, to delight in the joy of knowing its own one self. And so through the multiple expressions of the one divine come the appearance of separation and thereby the creation of polarity. However, this is not what is. That is a fabrication of mind, a thought of separation. What is you are that which is knowing itself in all expressions of life as the one divine intelligence that is. You may name God, Spirit, Jesus, Buddha, Allah, whatever is your name, and that is the resonance by which you pray. So there is only one, and only one love, and we are that one. Aho.
Thoughts, ladies? Teresa, we can't hear you, but I can see your lips moving, so make sure you're unmuted, honey.
I am unmuted.
Now I can hear you. Good.
It's really hard to hear her. We can't
Volume
hear
up,
her.
please.
Can you turn the volume up?
Sure how to do that.
That seems to be better. What you just did, we could hear what you spoke.
I just have these
The earbuds.
yeah.
That's okay. But we can hear now the way you're holding your
Okay, I
earbuds, yeah.
just have to hold it here. So yeah, I was going through some really challenging trials with some folks.
We need her to talk higher.
Louder, babes.
Okay. I was just going through some times that were really difficult to learn or relearn or this experience. The people that were buying my condos and the attorney that was involved were up to things that well, they're just like they're meant to harm me. And they didn't really need to do that, you know, but I guess they were just sort of obsessed with how much money they could squeeze out of it and everything. I'm going through the process right now where I'm learning to let go of not the money per se is not the issue. It's the emotional attachment to it. Oh my gosh, this is my life savings. I've worked every penny that I have this is what my work for my life represents. And that was the thing that I had to let go of. But in the meanwhile, I was looking at it from my perspective, which is according to the universal law, if you do harm to another, especially in the times of quickening that we're going through right now, that boomerang is going to come right back to you. Because outside of the polarity, there is no separation. Like outside of the 3D Maya, we have no polarity, we have no separation. We're just coming from a single source. And it was I guess for me, I find it difficult to believe that people are still kind of operating in this zero-sum game of competition and believing even now that they can do harm to another person without that coming back to them. But it is what it is. And it's my challenge to stay in a vibration which is more in alignment with the evolution that I'm seeking, rather than to be drawn into that polarity with the charge and the anger and the hurt and all these other emotions that go along with it. Whenever somebody steals something from you or breaks into your house, for instance, and you feel violated and you feel angry and hurt, and I'm trying to move through these motions as though they're not mine. So for me, the challenge is to be the sacred neutral observer, which is essentially, it's like that third side of the coin. There's the polarity and charge that you can take on either side of the two obvious sides of the coin, but then there's that thin strip that runs around the middle. And that's the one I'm trying to walk, which is what I feel like right now. It's like trying to walk on a tightrope. No, it's like a unicycle on a tightrope with a blindfold on in gale force winds, because you just never know when the next signature frequency is going to come at you and what I call show you they're ugly. To, you know, it's like their higher self is screaming out, help me with this. I'm confused. I believe that there is separation. I believe that I can do harm to another and that it will not come back to me. And it's a challenge for me, because I'm finding that a lot of people are bouncing their ugly off of me. I realize that's the signature frequency that I emanate. But it is nonetheless another way to learn something that I already knew. And that is to ride that third side of the coin, to be that sacred neutral observer that does not get caught up in an exchange of energy, which is negative and full of polarity and full of charge and other 3D trappings. My challenge is to see how well I can incorporate this as a lesson learned without allowing it to influence who I am as the sacred neutral observer.
So thank you, Teresa. You're giving us a very specific set of circumstances in which to analyze vibration, oneness, polarity. So as you said, you emanate a certain signature frequency. And as you move up the vibrational, we'll call it a ladder, but one of the things that has occurred to me is that we are so conditioned to think linearly that we're thinking in steps, we're thinking in distance, we're thinking in cause and effect, when actually it's all right here.
Yeah.
It's all part of who we are. And when you talk about riding the edge, what you're describing is being the witness, being the observer, which means you have stepped out of ego into your soul, into your oversoul. And that's where we can observe what's going on in our lives and make choices about how to deal with it, which is exactly what we're talking about in the Good Vibe Challenge. Because we have things come at us, and we're human, and we're supposed to have egos. Ego gets a really bad rap, but ego is the personality structure that our spirit has created in a connection with the body that we inhabit this time. So yes, it's your challenge to rise above the pain and the insults to the ego, to the place where you are so above that you can choose to behave differently. It's actually very similar to some of the other questions. Let me read some of the questions. Willie and let's see, what's her friend? And Chiara are both in Holland, and they're not on the call because it's very late at night in Holland. And so they prepared some questions ahead of time. How do you know, feel, see which dimension you are in? Can you also be born in the fourth or fifth dimension, or do you grow in it? How can you travel or move between the third and fifth dimensions in a safe manner? How does the perception of time and space differ between different vibrations and dimensions? How many dimensions are there for us human beings to explore? How can you use traveling between the dimensions to contribute to love on earth? So I have all kinds of ideas, and it's not my show. I want you ladies to talk. Would you like to comment? And Teresa, you gave us a beautiful lead in to these questions. And I'm sure that you see the connection and you probably have the answers, but I want to get some other feedback, if that's all right with you, sweetheart.
Mhm.
And since I'm kind of co-facilitating with you, Shada, I'm going to sit back with you and see what the rest of the circle has to share. And then maybe we can contribute some more.
Sure.
I
Yes, ma'am.
want to say something.
Good.
First of all, Teresa, thank you so much for sharing, and also for putting some words to feelings that I've been going through. My circumstances are different, but a lot of the feelings are the same. And I've been getting whapped with all kinds of stuff, and beyond frustration, anger, you name it, I've had it and experienced it. And what I found was that every morning I always said, I need to be above it. I'm not this person. I need to, but I couldn't. I had to experience it. I had to feel the anger. I had to feel the pain. I had to feel all of it. And I was really grateful to have Barbara to bounce things off of, because she always understood me from a place of recognizing that this was just my fear or my lack of understanding, until I got to a place, and I can't even tell you how it happened or when it happened. I finally got to a place where I noticed that the triggers, you're right, they come from out of the blue. They come when you're not expecting them. But I found that over time, I recovered more quickly from them. I think that's the best way to put them. I always felt everything in my gut and my soul. I felt that this was coming on, but I was able to kind of put myself into that, I guess that is that state, that other state, like without ego.
Yes.
And bring myself down. And for an example, like when the first things first happened, I would go on for months obsessing. And then I got to a place where I could sleep on it, and the next morning I could kind of make some sense of it. So I hope I'm not going off on a tangent here. I'm trying to remember the questions that were asked about different vibrations and levels, and I'm very new at experiencing all of this. I think it took a serious trauma to wake me up to realize that I was just not really living my life. And so I'm still trying to learn how to live in this vibration. And I'm not even sure when I am at a higher vibration, I feel differently. So that's all I have to say right now. I don't know if I made any sense.
You totally make sense, Sylvia. Thank you, sweetie. So as I thought about these questions, the first thing that struck me was that when you're in 3D, you're feeling all the drama and you're feeling fear. When you move beyond 3D into the fifth dimension, there's no fear. It's easier to be the witness, to be the observer. It's easier to feel your connection to divine source. And I don't know that you can distinguish between which dimension you're in, whether it's the fifth, sixth, seventh, or eighth, until you get a little more advanced. I'm not sure that I am. I can't tell you. Do you have some thoughts on that, Danae?
I love how you're responding, and I wanted to contribute to that and something else as well. So as I've been witnessing and hearing, the guides are telling me to take everyone through a short process to help them navigate between the third and fifth, as we're describing right now, to have a direct experience of an exercise of it. And every time guidance tells me to contribute, it's short, but it's like, going with what you're doing. So is there a receptivity to going through a direct experience right now? Does everyone feel okay with that? Like, let's lighten up.
I think that's the whole point of the work we're doing together, is to experience these things so that we get familiar with what we're navigating. And it's like a muscle. The more we practice, the stronger the muscle is going to get. So please do lead us through that.
Thank you. The Spirit News channel is telling me, like, You give short tools. She's going to be like the Dr. Barbara, and you give tools. Okay, sounds like fun. So here we go. We're going to have a tool. Your intuition is your superpower. And your intuition is the voice of the spirit that you are, the higher self that you are, the 5th dimensional, 8th dimensional, 12th dimensional, ascended master self that you are, coming through, offering you guidance to guide your life. That is what your intuition does. That's what it's for. So when you choose to have a conscious relationship with your intuition, you open a door, and then you start getting guided in how to live your life from the viewpoint of that eagle vision. It's a direct encounter with your guidance, walking you through these experiences from the perspective of absolute freedom, complete knowledge that the perfect unfolding is happening, and the feeling through your body that is congruent with that perspective. And there is just no emotional drama at all. So that is the opportunity that we can experience now. And here's a tool for you to use the next time you find your triggers going off and you find your personality starting to work hard to walk that third place of the coin, or to really not, it's like, how can you be directed through that differently next time something of a vibrational frequency that matches that arises? So that's what we're about to do. So go ahead and close your eyes if you want to do this experience. If not, feel free to witness. We're just going to be guided right through it right now by my guidance and intuition. So this is a tool we can all use as we go forward. Feel your body sitting by feeling your root of your spine grounding to Mother Earth. Whatever your spine is resting against, rest into it. Let your head settle on your shoulders. Relax your shoulders and gently move your head around so your crown gets stirred at the top of your head. And take 3 slow, deep breaths through your body. Now imagine you have just done this and you are feeling connected and awake as you do now. Only someone comes along and pushes your buttons, and your immediate knee-jerk response is to let the ego run the show. And then you take a breath, as you do right now. You relax on your exhale. And you remember that you are spirit embodied. So let's do that together again in this breath. Remember that you are spirit embodied, and see if you can feel that higher self coming in on the inhale, breathing in gold light together. All the way up from root to crown, and from crown back down to root. Exhale with an ah through your heart. I am that higher intelligence which sees and guides. That is what we're calling in. I am that higher intelligence who sees and guides. And now imagine that the front of your face physically, when you're looking outward into the world, is like one lens of a camera. And then if you move back about 3 to 4 inches to where your ears are, is another lens of a camera. And if you pull all the way back to the back of your head, there's another lens of a camera. So it is like you have 3 lenses, 3 ways of viewing. Pick a problem or a challenge or something that you are holding judgment or energy around and bring it up for review, and we'll work with it very succinctly here and now. So when you have something that you want to do this experiment with, just put a finger in the air so it's known that everyone's on the same page at the same time. Great. Okay. So I want you to allow your higher self to show you like these beautiful golden white hands. Maybe they're blue, maybe they're rose, whatever color these beautiful big divine hands in front of your heart can appear to for you. You sense, feel, imagine these beautiful divine hands coming forward out of your heart to the center of this circle. as an honoring. It is like you are giving away. And in this posture with your hands, give away that which you are afraid will happen if you fully wake up. So take a moment to recognize your biggest fear of what you're afraid would happen if you fully wake up. And then breathe that fear into your breath. We're going to blow it out into our hands and disappear it into the nothingness. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Great, and let it go. Now, see this issue, problem, or concern through your front lens, through your personality. Notice that your personality still might have opinions, judgments, attachments, viewpoints, stories about it, pain, struggle. Notice that this first lens, the look of your face as the expression of the ego-identified personality, definitely has a way that she moves with things and definitely has feelings and opinions about this. Simply notice that without judgment. Notice that layer and acknowledge what is. The human personality will have reactions and responses, and it's all good. Feel it all, attach to none of it, let it go. But see how you can do that, how you are capable of that. As you now shift your lens back to where your middle ears would be, as if there's another round lens around your head, this is your observer self, your higher self, more of your innate intelligence, your guidance, and your wisdom, giving you a little bit more of an eagle's perspective on this issue, circumstance, or condition, and see how you are filled in. See what lens you look through. See how your wisdom informs you of how to think about it differently. And take a moment breathing and allow that wisdom to come to you now as you are shown a different viewpoint on this that's more user-friendly for you. And the guidance can continue for you later on this. Be grateful for what you are aware of, what might have come to you, any hunch you may have gotten, a glimmer, a feeling, a picture. And now we're going to pull the camera back to this final part of the exercise, all the way to the back of the head. And this represents the Godhead, the one divine spirit nature, the one life knowing itself that is living as all things in all dimensions. And this is where you, as that, already have healed this, already decided that from now on you are operating from your highest consciousness. It is automatically occurring. There's nothing to work for, and you get to have that because you command it to be so. If that's true in your heart. If so, this is the time to say yes in your heart to invoking that your higher self informs, directs, and guides you through your life journey. Only say yes if it feels right. There's no attachment.
Yes.
And so now, as you're breathing with whatever your choice was, recognize you have a tool. The next time you encounter triggers, use the breathing and ask your higher self to show you a different viewpoint on it, how to think about it, how to respond. And then know that you can pull the camera back all the way and say that I've already handled all this in my God consciousness. I'm just watching it play out in perfect harmony now for my highest good and the highest good for the universe, myself, and everyone everywhere. And then trust it, bless it, and witness it. These are the tools that are offered. Use them as you wish. Make them your own. Tweak them as you will. Thank you for receiving. End of channeling.
Aho. So what did you experience, ladies? Yes, Sylvia.
She's muted.
You got to unmute yourself, sweetie.
There you go.
Good.
Is that better? What I
Yes.
felt and what I always feel when I go into that state is I always feel a very strong visceral feeling. I get a hug from my ancestors. I can feel my grounding cord going right down to the earth. And I really enjoyed the ability to be able to look at it from the different lenses. And I could feel your words telling me that this was so. And I said yes, and I let it go. And I imagine that probably I'll be doing that every once in a while. But I really enjoyed the experience. I feel quite a bit. I'm vibrating differently already just from this conversation.
Yes. Well done. Well done. Well done.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
See, it can be that easy. Doesn't always feel like it can be that easy, and it can be this easy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy?
Yes.
Anyone else?
Excellent. Let's come back to that and reinforce it in a little bit. Let's go through some of these questions. How do you know, feel, see which dimension you are in? So we've addressed that a little bit. I spoke about the difference in sensations between the third dimensional reality and the fifth. Do you have any input, anybody on the call? Further? Yes, Teresa.
I have found that when I'm shifting between dimensions, especially in the higher dimensions, that it can oftentimes be very uncomfortable.
Physically, you mean?
Physically, yes.
Okay.
And I know that I'm getting a lot of energetical influence here and interference here in the city where I live. But at the same time, a lot of it is internal, I feel. And it just points to me that I need to do more shadow work. I need to do more introspection, introflexion, clearing, cleansing. Protecting is a big one. We must always fortify and protect ourselves energetically. And that if I neglect any of those facets, that is when I find the most physical discomfort involved with shifting between the dimensions.
Excellent. Thank you. And that reference to shadow work, that is very insightful, because that is the way that we release the heaviness, the hucha, the things that keep us tied to third dimensional density. I experience, as I rise in vibration, it feels like there's an energy that moves through me that I describe sort of like champagne bubbles. So I feel movement. It feels a little fizzy. Even in the higher dimensions, I notice that I react, and I consciously need to breathe into the sensations, relax into the sensations, not resist them and tighten up. Tightening is very much a 3D habit. It's the way we've dealt with all the things that are coming at us. And sometimes we have so many layers of tension, we're not even aware of how armored we are. And as they start to dissolve, because we're doing our work and we're rising higher in vibration, we can feel a little bit like a helium balloon that's kind of adrift. And I guess maybe the main sensation is being out of control. Oh my God, I'm not in control.
As if.
Right. But haven't we had that delusion? Sylvia, yes.
When you said that, I'm like, I can't go there. I must be in control at all times.
And that's the work you've been doing. That's what I have watched you surrendering as you have healed and as you grow. You no longer have such an intense need for control, because the need to control is born of fear. Mm-hmm. So the more we rid ourselves of fear, the less need we have to control, the more we have the privilege of surrendering to the divine plan.
Yes. Yeah.
It's for our good. It's for our joy. But we have to grow into that. Sometimes it feels like joy is so explosive it could kill us. What a way to go,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Sometimes
let's go
Oh,
ahead.
so sorry. Sometimes I feel like I need to hold on to my pain to remind myself that this was really serious. You know, it was life changing, and I have to hold on to that to make it. I don't know what that is. You know,
To
that
validate it.
yeah, to validate it. Well, it must be really bad because I held on to it for this long. You know, and I'm coming to recognize that's not how things work. um,
It's
it's
it's not
not.
helpful.
No, it's not
It's
helpful.
part of the trick, because if 3D influences can convince you to hold on to your pain, they are imprisoning you in 3D. You don't need that, hoocha. The story's there if you want to get it any time. But basically, you're a spiritual warrior who is doing her work and graduating. You don't have to suffer anymore. Teresa, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to share some things that I picked up during some of my many near-death experiences and out-of-body sort of experiences, and what I saw, and it's very childlike. My description, it's rather juvenile, but it's very simple to understand. Is that we, as infinite consciousness, are down here to know thyself, and we do so through having the experience of the human being, and that, in a nutshell, in one word, you could call it emotion. Emotion is the thing that it's the avenue by which we travel down that path of evolution.
Mm-hmm.
And then the way it's actually kind of, I hate to say the word supposed to work, but the way I feel like it was supposed to work is that we come down, have our experiences, then we go through our cosmic midnight hour, and we have our life review, and we alone sit in judgment of that, and we make a decision. I could have done this better. I'd like to have another go at that, and I should have, would have, could have. So we reincarnate, but then instead of being able to, the way I see it, this is very juvenile. Like I said, it's we take all of our experiences into a sort of cosmic infinite database, right, of the infinite consciousness, and we download those experiences and all those lessons learned, and then we make the decision to come back and reincarnate. But sometime um, between the leaving of the 3D physical body and the finishing of the cosmic life review, cosmic midnight hour, we carry with us unresolved emotions and feelings of fear, anger, hatred, need for revenge. I myself, I recall several lifetimes where, because of the level of consciousness that I took with me into my cosmic midnight hour, I made, I hate to say, bad choices about my reincarnation contract. And I essentially signed up to do things that I unwittingly or unknowingly would have otherwise avoided if I'd have had a more clarity about my consciousness. And the way that I feel like that we can achieve the best level of clarity um, is to process through those emotions and not to hold on to fear, because for hundreds of thousands of years we have been trauma based or trauma controlled through trauma, and all the fear porn and everything else, that from every aspect of our experience. And fear is that false evidence appearing real. So, but it just works so well. It's such a great control mechanism for
Mm-hmm.
the system of domination and control to rule over us, and to allow us, or I should say force us, into reincarnating and signing up for bad contracts each time we do that. So emotion is for us to feel. It is for us to totally, like, allow it to consume you, allow it to have its full course, surrender to it. But then be careful to remember that you are the sacred neutral observer, and that is the experience, not the experiencer. when we become overly identified with the experience, that's when we lose our clarity.
Very well said. Very well said. I'd like to do a little bit of reframing on what you just said, because you referred several times to poor choices and bad contracts. I'm not sure that it's possible. Now, you may make contracts you don't like. I know I did. I remember when a certain experience hit me like a ton of bricks. You know, I was screaming at God saying, I could not have agreed to this. I never signed up for this. There's been a mistake. Somebody wasn't listening.
I was 6 months old when I said that the first time.
But everything that we encounter is designed to bring us into a more evolved state. Yes. And I look at who you are, and I see somebody that has shown up with courage and diligence to do her work in some of the most difficult circumstances I've ever heard of. So I want to acknowledge you in that. So while your contracts may have been very uncomfortable and no fun to go through, I think it was all part of the divine plan. I'm a big fan of Thich Nhat Hanh's poem, and I can't recall all of it, but I will find it and I'll post it in our Good Vibe Challenge. Basically, the name of the poem is Call Me By All My Names. And he does go through life experiences and realize how he is everything. He's a 14-year-old girl that drowns herself in the ocean.
We can't hear you.
Barbara?
You can't hear?
You sound like Darth Vader. You sound like Darth Vader.
Yeah, it's that echoey underwater sound again.
Yeah. Like, no, yeah.
Is that better?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So Thich Nhat Hanh's poem describes the 14-year-old girl that throws herself in the ocean after being raped by the pirate. And he describes himself as the pirate whose heart is so hardened that he can feel no compassion. And it goes through all these. In all of our reincarnations, we have been everything. We have been victims, we have been perpetrators. We've been the good guys and the bad guys and everybody in between, because that's the whole point, for God to know herself. So the next question, can you also be born in the fourth or fifth dimension, or do you grow into it? My personal opinion is that you're born in 3D. Now, children do not forget where they came from right away. And sometimes a child's soul is not fully in its body until it's at least 5 years old. And then the process, after you have been deconstructed, is to give you the tools to reconstruct yourself according to the intention of your consciousness. So that is, in my opinion, that is when you would begin to navigate the different dimensions. Whether you have a supportive environment or a damaging environment, you are still being prepared for this journey to choose love, to choose higher consciousness. Would anybody else like to comment on that? Okay, then let's go to the next question. How can you travel or move between third and fifth dimensions in a safe manner? I don't think there's a way to do it that's not safe. Because you are going deeper into love. If you view every dimension as a more intimate connection with love that everything is, then as you ascend your vibration, you're just moving closer to love. So the only concern that I can think of would be a concern that you're having a psychotic break or you're going nuts. And that has been a classic defense against true spirituality for the whole time this planet's been around. The antidote to that is to be in community with other spiritual seekers where you all know that you're doing the work. You know what's real. 3D reality, as viewed from even a psychiatric perspective, is very incomplete. Any other comments on that?
The tool we used before of pulling the camera back
Yeah.
takes one from the attachment of the emotional pain body and the perspectives of struggle and hardship and defensiveness, and pulls the awareness. So if the attention is on that, that's the lens that we're looking through. That's the world we're going to experience. Struggle, have to work hard at it, pain, hardship, trauma, all that. When we pull the camera back to that second, that middle head layer here, that viewpoint goes away. And we're given the eyes through which to see, which is our divine eyes, and the truth of what is actually going on is shown to us. And all that emotional intensity just dissipates. There's nothing to work on. It just like drops away because it's not the real perspective. It's part of the Maya, as you so brilliantly said before, Teresa. And then when we pull the camera back again, this is like the front face is like the third dimension, middle head is like the fourth dimension, the observer witness. And at the back of the head is that frequency of the one life, one love, which right now we're referring to as a fifth dimensional frequency. And so when we get back here, we have shifted from the third to fifth dimension consciously by reorganizing our association with our emotional bodies and anchoring in a higher frequency of intelligence, love, and light. So that's literally a tool and how to navigate between third and fifth dimension if one wants a tool by which to do that. Because what you said was perfect. The emotional body is the main tool of the human incarnation. And so that's a great tool to work with.
It's an essential tool to work with because we are here as light bringers, as hollow bones. There's something about the construction of humanity that includes the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, the physical body, and the energy field that is like a fire hydrant, a fire hose, a channel for light, which is love. Light and love are indistinguishable. And the more that we remove this density, the more capacity for light and love we have in ourselves. So the work is to be human. It's to feel what happens when we feel attacked, when we feel afraid, when we feel defensive. All these things are an interaction with the third dimensional reality. So when we're working to change third dimensional reality, we need to process all that emotion consciously, the way that Teresa was describing earlier, feeling how she felt under these conditions and knowing that that is only a part of the picture, that her best tool, her best defense is to go into her higher self and work from that level, because that is bringing the two together. Does that make sense? Yes, or Arlia?
Yeah, thank you. I'm home now. So I wanted to pull a couple things together from how I look at it. For me, I so appreciate today the tool of the three lenses. For me, what helps me get the perspective is in that dealing with the emotional body and the emotions and the triggers that come up in the 3D, is to separate the emotions from the story, the 3D story they're attached to, so that I can process the emotions through the body however they want to come through. And without, we talked earlier about feeling that sense of loss of control about, we're not really in control anyway. But because there's so much coming up right now, my own personal experience, sometimes I don't know where that trigger's coming from, but I give up the control to know where it comes from. And so it has come up for processing, so I let it flow through me. I do whatever is necessary to do that, and I let go of my need to understand it.
Beautiful.
And that disengages the 3D ego, which just wants to clamp it down and hold on to it. And I think somebody talked earlier about, being stuck in it for a while. Well, you get stuck in it because your ego, from my perspective, locks it down in your brain and says, this is the story and this is what we're going to rehash over and over again. And so it's much easier to work through that, and it moves through much quicker if you can release the story, kind of get into that second lens, observe it, let it move through and on out, and then it doesn't stick around. And that very process puts me back in the 5D of holding the sacred container for my own work. And so that
That's brilliant.
that has been, in operating in the 5D as I've been lately, bouncing back and forth because I'm human, but that's been easier now. Gets a little easier every time with more practice to get back into the witness stance, disengage the story, and let the processing happen.
I'd like to address something you're saying real quickly, because again, Spirit's telling me say this right here. My partner and I find it easier if we name that habit pattern. Like, let's say that the one that gets attached and goes into drama and creates pain and has to hold on to the story, we give that one a character name. Like, what name feels like it's the way that behavior goes, and that helps you see it when it's happening and disidentify from it, but also respect the energy of it for what it's worth, and let it go. So we had one of those the other night, and he named he's a big guy from Texas, and he named his Dragon. I love that. That's his shadow, the Dragon. And, God,
I love it.
Remember mine, but it's fun to do that. It also gives you levity for yourself, and it helps you stay conscious. Yeah,
it takes some of the charge. Laugh.
And they are energies, and they have identity, and so respecting them and working with them as an energy, it really helps, and it moves them faster.
Okay, so we're close to ending. I'd like to touch briefly. There's only a couple or three more questions. How does the perception of time and space differ between different vibrations and dimensions? This is where you can stretch time, because time only exists in 3-dimensional. So anytime that you get any dimension above that, you're in eternity. You're in past, present, future, all at one time. And it's right here where you are. It's not over there. It's not over there. It's right inside of you. And you can stretch time. We'll talk more about that at another time. Any other comments on that issue? Okay. How many dimensions are there for us human beings to explore? My understanding is that scientists have identified 12 dimensions. Shamans have identified lots more. So I think the honest answer is we don't know. I don't know. Anybody else?
Nope.
Okay. How can you use traveling between the dimensions to contribute to love on Earth? And I think we've actually talked about this, because choosing to be in a higher dimension initiates the flow of love and light through you into the lower dimensions, which is the whole purpose, right?
Yep.
Any other insights?
Well, again, integrating the human part, when you're back here and you're at that higher space, you're given the guidance through insight and instruction on how to handle things if you're willing to listen and turn it over. So it also can actively direct the flow of love through our behavior and our interactions with one another as a global family.
So you're saying that there's a way in which trusting and following our intuition is being a channel of love and light from another dimension?
I wish I was saying that. That's exactly what needs to be said right now. Thank you you're the wordsmith. Thank you. Yes. Your intuition is your superpower. I said that at the beginning, and I'm going to close with that. It is your superpower. Use it, use it, use it, because each week we do the Wise Women Council. It'll be so much fun to report back, hey, I tried this or I tried that. And, let's play and have fun and prosper together. So that's my intent.
Absolutely. I've had a ball. I hope you folks have had as much fun as I have, because this is the kind of discussion that just lights my fire. And I think that's extremely useful, and I'm looking forward to doing it again. We have members in other time zones who are having to sleep at this moment. So I would like to ask if we could call another Wisdom Council for perhaps 10 o'clock on Sunday morning.
Yeah,
Is anybody up for that?
Yeah, send us.
We can do that. I mean, we'll set up an event, and Danae will have to check her schedule. And we're using Danae's Zoom because she has the expanded version, and they won't cut us off.
Yes. Yay.
Well, thank you very much, Danae, for hosting us.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone. What a fabulous evening. Thank you, Bob.
Yes, thank you.
Really awesome. And this is exactly what I want you all to see. How much talent, how much awareness, how much love. Each of you does it a little bit differently, but you're doing it and you're creating a huge difference. And when we come together like this, it's like this fabulous sisterhood. So thank you for showing up. I'd like to take just a moment, if you'll close your eyes. I want to thank each of the souls in a human body who has shown up to weave our souls together, to share our wisdom, share our questions. I want to thank the archangels who have come and been so generous. I thank the group that is channeling through Danae. I thank each of you who have allowed your intuition and your guides, teachers, angels, and allies to speak through you for showing up and doing this work. And may the blessings of this hour together continue through the evening and through the week until we can come together again. Aho.
Aho Mitakuye.
Aho.
Takuye. Yes, thank you so much. This is recorded. We'll clean it up a little bit, and then we're going to put it out there because everybody needs to hear this sort of thing. And we have 160 people in our group now, and they're from all over the world. So everything that you're thinking, doing, and being is going around the globe, ladies. Thank you for being Homo Angelicus.
Love it.
All right, anything else before we say goodnight?
Thank you to everyone. It was an exquisite contribution
Thank you.
to everybody. Thank you.
I'd like to share a little bit, if I may, because I got an angel number. And,
Yes.
And so the angel number was 636. And what they're telling us, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
The true and secret influence of angel number 636. When we see it, it means that the divine realm and your guardian angels are sending you energies of love and guidance. It signifies that they are with you on your journey through life and that you can always call on them for anything.
Beautiful. Thank you for that affirmation.
Perfect.
And thank you to the angels. Thank you to Divine Source for the adventure that we get to live. We'll be in touch. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.